This is Talk 650.
This is Talk 650.
Powered by CBS Radio.
In the studio with us is David Zugheri from Envoy Mortgage, you are one of the survivors, David, because I've known you now for, what, 10 years?
It is going on 10 years.
Something like that, which coincides with the anniversary of you and your lovely bride, I believe.
We decided to get married when I first came on 650.
When you met me.
Yes, when we first met. And I still have that tape.
Yeah.
Remember you would...
Sure.
I think that was part of your routine. I have a tape that says 650. Business radio was Business Radio 650.
It was called
then.
Business Radio.
And but unfortunately, I don't have a cassette player anymore, so I can't hear myself.
Well, yeah, we should have had that transferred over to a DVD or something, CD. Anyway, it's good to have you back in the studio with us.
Thanks for having me.
Good morning.
Thanks.
Wanted to talk a little bit about what's happening in the Houston real estate scene, mortgage lending, particularly with your role there at Envoy Mortgage, which is it's more of a large group, but you have individual offices, and yours runs there in the Galleria on Westheimer.
Sure. We have offices throughout the country now, which when we first started, actually 12 years ago, I guess the company was a few years old at the time that I had first come down. When we first met, we've branched out into, across the nation, so we have, call it 67, 68 locations throughout the nation, with a concentration, about 40% of our volume comes out of Texas, a lot of which comes out of Houston. So, So I can speak halfway intelligently as to what happens here in Houston just because we have so much volume that
and the
comes
good
from
news for Envoy, I would think, is that since the bulk of your business comes from Texas, that the loans have generally been rather robust compared to what we've seen nationally.
Yeah, and I tell the story that goes something like this, that the mortgage demons were banging on our door.
I know.
And,
I remember because we had those discussions.
Yeah, and going into California and going into Arizona and the frou-frou markets that were obviously inflated even back then, you could sit there and say, well, this house should be worth, whatever. It's real small and it sells for $2 million. And so for some reason, through some type of divine intervention, we stayed away. We dabbled in Southern California, dabbled in Arizona on a very small scale, and as a result of which, being predominantly in Texas during the time, that things were at their worst, that's why we're still here today.
We were traveling on several broadcast trips out to the West Coast 15 years ago. And we're looking at one of the things my wife and I like to do is kind of get out and look around at the lay of the land and look at real estate and see what the prices are like. And we saw cinder block houses, for $500,000, and thought then, there's no way this is sustainable.
And you were right.
Yes, I was. Got to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk more with David Zugheri from Envoy Mortgage on the Talk 650 Morning Show.
If you have a question or comment, the number is 713-965-650. This is Stephen K. with Brent, Clanton, and it's 16 minutes past the hour on Talk 650, powered by CBS Radio.
You're clear.